graduated from vandalism to unaliving federal employees. 10 members of Antifa, yes, the same group the media pretends does not exist, just got arrested for trying to take out ICE agents. No protest, no property damage, straight up taking out ICE agents, federal officers. Is this what Antifa stands for? Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like domestic terrorism. These aren't rebels. These are criminals who thought they could pew pew their way out of reality. Here's the best part. They really thought the justice system would protect them. But I think y'all are not understanding. This isn't Portland 2020. This isn't Seattle, let's burn down our own buildings and peacefully protest while we destroy our city. This isn't Los Angeles. This is federal. And ironically, the reason they are attempting to do this is because of the current sitting president, Donald J. Trump. But guess who's not going to stand for this? The current sitting president. There's no excuses for this behavior, and this is when they find out what consequences really look like.
At Courageous Media, really appreciate you rolling up. I wanted to cover a story that has not gotten very much airplay in amidst the big, beautiful bill, the Epstein fallout, the Comey Brennan prosecutions. I mean, all of the news cycle that is going on, this has gotten lost in the shuffle. And I didn't want it to get lost because I think this is a huge, major escalation on the part of the left. For those of you who don't know, an ICE officer was shot in Alvarado, Texas, basically right outside the federal building, right outside the ICE headquarters. It was a manipulated, planned, clearly organized attack by members of the left, by Antifa specifically, and they have full on graduated to terrorism and to the attempted unaliving of federal officers. Now, fortunately, this man survived, but we're going to dive into this story. And we really appreciate everybody rolling up. Let us know what you think in the comments. Please like Courageous Media, comment, let us know you're here, and let's dive right in to this absolutely bombshell story.
Several suspects are now in custody after a Texas police officer was shot in the neck while responding to a call outside of an ICE facility. So it happened in Alvarado, which is near Fort Worth. This was over the holiday weekend, and Jonathan Hunt is following this story for us. Hi, Jonathan.
Good morning, Dana. This all played out in the late evening of July 4th outside the Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado. Police officers responded to a call about a suspicious person outside the center. When they arrived, they saw someone who appeared to have a gun. One of the Alvarado officers tried to talk to that person, and at that point, several other people opened fire on the officer, who was hit in the neck. He was treated at a local hospital and has since been released. Officers arrested a number of people at the scene. A motive for the attack is still being investigated, but the Department of Homeland Security said a group of more than a dozen people had slashed tires of federal vehicles and damaged security cameras at the ICE facility. There was also another attack on an ICE facility in Portland, Oregon, Friday night, a facility that has been the site of an ongoing protest for several weeks. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche wrote on X Saturday morning, quote, "We are closely monitoring the attacks on DHS detention facilities in Prairieland, Texas and Portland, Oregon, and are coordinating with the USAOs and our law enforcement partners. The department has zero tolerance for assaults on federal officers or property and will bring the full weight of the law against those responsible." Now, both attacks, Dana, happened on the day President Trump signed his domestic policy bill into law, a bill, of course, that includes some $45 billion to expand the capacity of immigration detention centers and $31 billion for ICE operations. Dana?
All right.
Wow, absolutely amazing. So Antifa and the pro-illegal immigration, criminal illegal immigration left have graduated from let's protest in the streets, let's break some bottles, let's force some Molotov cocktails. Oh, we forgot about that part. Yeah, let's set things on fire, to let's actually take shots at officers. Let's try to assassinate a law enforcement officer. Now, in this case, it was a Texas DPS officer who was responding to the ICE facility, But this is absolutely egregious. I want to dive into one more news story. Then we're going to take a look at the people who were arrested. Check this out.
An officer was shot near an immigration detention facility in Alvarado. It happened around 11 last night on Sunflower Lane near the Prairieland Detention Center. Right now, that building is being used by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Police say they were responding to reports of a suspicious person. That officer saw a person who appeared to be armed, and police say when that officer tried to engage with that person, they were shot at. The officer was hit in the neck but survived. An officer.
So this was an ambush attack. So like they said, they were responding to a suspicious person. That suspicious person, when the officer tried to engage them, were then shot at by 10 individuals, bullets flying everywhere. The fact that this person only got shot in the neck and survived is frankly a miracle of God. So here are the 10 people that have been arrested. These are the 10 Antifa agents, Antifa, members. Evidently, there are some serious mental problems amongst the group. I believe one identifies as trans, non-binary, whatever the case may be. But you've got a serious problem now that Antifa and the progressive pro-illegal immigration left has graduated to full-on assault of officers. So this did not happen, this happened right in front of the ICE detention facility, right in front of a federal building. This is absolutely nuts. Now, this is on the heels of the pro-illegal immigration left being violent all over the place. The mostly peaceful protests, as the propaganda media would have you believe, are not mostly peaceful at all. As I said just earlier, yes, they were blocking streets. Yes, they were throwing rocks. Yes, they were throwing Molotov cocktails in some cases. They did that to Tesla facilities when Elon Musk was in the government. These people are violent. Now check this out. So here's just, in this same time frame, here's the latest from LA. LA rioters brawling with ICE officers and National Guard. These people are not peaceful.
Watch out. Back up.
And this is why Donald Trump called in the National Guard and the Marines in LA. He did so to protect not only ICE but also the citizens in this type of mob violence. This is absolutely organized protests, no problem. You want to speak your mind, no problem. But when this degrades into this low level of violence that you see here, it inevitably leads to the type of violence that we saw in Alvarado. It inevitably leads to the type of violence that we saw during the mostly peaceful George Floyd protests in Portland, Oregon, where they literally burned down the federal building and police stations, notwithstanding people actually being in there. People had to evacuate, had to flee in order to save their own lives. This low level of violence is going to get somebody unalived. This is not good at all. And, Donald Trump has done the right thing in LA by calling in the National Guard and calling in the Marines and saying, no, we're not going to stand for this nonsense. This is the type of thing that we get. We get utter hatred from the progressive left. They are all in for illegal migrants. These are the same illegal migrants who did what they did to Jocelyn Nungare, to Rachel Marin, to Lake and Riley, names that the Biden administration couldn't even say, names that Antifa and the progressive left want you to forget. Meanwhile, they defend people who came into our country illegally, who have many of them have committed violent crimes in our country, in addition to anything they did outside of our country. And that is why Donald Trump has promised mass deportations. That's why he has doubled down, no amnesty. Will they try to work out something with farm workers on a temporary basis? Maybe, but there will be no amnesty. There'll be no pathway to citizenship. There will be none of that. That was reiterated by Brooke Rollins. So Trump, to his credit, was flirting with the idea of something for farm workers and hospitality workers. And it seems that he has heard from the MAGA faithful and said, no, we're not going down that road, because that would have been absolutely a problem. Why? Because the minute you open a loophole for, let's say, farm workers, and let's say you make the argument, okay, if you've been here for, 15 years and you haven't committed any crime and you paid whatever taxes you were supposed to pay, or you did things above board, then we'll let you stay. The problem with that is the minute any single illegal migrant is detained by law enforcement, all they have to do is say, I've been here 15 years. And now you open it up to a court case. Now they are going to be here for 3 to 5 years worth of hearings and judges and all this other nonsense. You have to shut the door, shut it tight, shut it permanently, and then we can open up something on the back end after you're already out of the country. But this level of violence here is coming because the propaganda media and the Democrats are demonizing the Trump administration and ICE, calling them Nazis, calling them violent, saying they're arresting American citizens. All of the nonsense that you have heard is leading to this level of violence, and it has to stop.